My name is Garcia. I'm an artist, cultural worker, and arts administrator from East LA, born and raised there. So the site for this monument is at Olvera, at the site where the Serra statue stood for about 90 something years. Folks had decided from a long time ago that the statue needed to be removed. And so the moment was just right. And it was removed during a ceremony. It wasn't just a toppling. The toppling was like 2 minutes of like what was a 2 hour gathering. And so in selecting this site, I felt like, well, this would be a good opportunity to like press out a little bit harder, to continue to put pressure, so that people don't forget, like it's a year later, but it also feels like 5 years later. There used to be this big tree, the sycamore tree down in downtown LA. For me, when we talk about monuments and what they represent and how they like impose this idea of power, this concept of a tree and communing in that way also just kind of shows the process of like democratizing that power. And for me, that's kind of like where I wanted to go with this piece. The idea of nature coming back like in the middle of the city is exciting. The idea of a tree being a monument isn't so far-fetched. I think the most literal thing to do was to like render an oak tree in place of where the Serra statue was, because the pedestal is still there. So I was thinking a lot about neon lights and have these rings kind of emanating from the sapling up into the stars, because I did also want to bring this concept of the stars into like how we connect to the earth. Because for me, I think what's more important isn't the monument itself, but the land that the monument sits on. By having this like fragile sapling, right, that not all saplings grow into trees, that we can come to it with this idea that we're going to nurture this space and we're going to help it grow, and these emanating rings kind of resemble that, right? Like all of us is helping it grow, and then the fruit that it gives us, these acorns, is that knowledge that will help us kind of make better relations with one another. Because when we talk about marking time, right, through these monuments, for indigenous folks, there's different ways of marking time. So I thought, like, well, if we're bringing these indigenous concepts into monument making and memorializing, it is important that like we offer a different perspective as well. So what I hope people take away from this experience is understanding that that when a tree, right, nature, in this case an oak tree, is something as important as a person. We talk about climate crisis, we talk about all these different things, but I think we're always making decisions for what's best for humans, not necessarily what's best for the earth, for all other living beings. So in memorializing, I guess, a tree that was never there, a tree that could be there, it also, I hope that it realigns or gives us a different perspective as to how we see all other living beings.